So let us say, somebody is thinking about something and they're worried. They're thinking, what will happen in the future? Um, what if, I don't have, the strength to go and do this job that I'm doing right now? It is a very hard work is there involved in this job. So what if in the future I don't have the capacity to do that? If I'm not well, if I'm not able to get up and just go ahead and do, then what to do? So this question, if it comes in the mind, then what happens is that, even before something happens, I'm thinking about it and I'm worrying about it, and I'm losing energy over it, and I feel so so much fear is there in the mind because I'm so bogged down by what's going to happen. But the thing is, let us say, hmm, I have enough courage, I have enough patience, I have enough strength, I have enough what you call, internal positivity, all that I have. So now again, the situation is coming in front of me. Thought is coming. What will happen if I am going to be, not be able to work hard and pick up myself and do all this that I'm able to do? If I'm getting older, will I be able to do? Then the thought comes, because of all the strength you have picked up, there is power to tolerate, there is power to face, there is power to pack up. Everything is there. So that very minute you're able to say, full stop. I don't want to think all these things. I know everything's going to be okay. And by that time, I know I have the power to face and I know how to manage it and it won't be so difficult. So the thing is, when there is power, all those qualities which we require automatically emerges, isn't it? So even if I get a thought about the future, even if I get a thought about the past, hmm, any thought. So if I get something about the past, pack up. Anything about the future, I have the power to face. If this power is there, it is not difficult. So how about accumulating these powers instead of going on planning that, I might do this, then I'll have to do that, I'll have to do this, I don't know what to do. See, the thing is, whatever we can do in a physical level, we can do. Okay, you save your money in the bank, you take care of your future, you save things, whatever you want to do, you take care of your health, whatever, all that we can do. But the thing is, I also have to prepare mentally. When people say prepare yourself mentally, what is preparing yourself mentally? That you're telling something wrong will happen, I'm ready. No, that is not preparation. That is not preparation. If they say, oh, today it's going to rain, it might rain today. So you're telling yourself, it will rain today. I know it will rain today. Yeah, it might rain. So I'm prepared. It will rain and I won't get irritated when it rains. No, that is not preparation. I'll take my umbrella. I'll take my rainy coat. I take everything with me prepared. That is called preparation. Not just mentally thinking, yeah, anything can happen. I know it will happen. Something will happen. No. That is like, you are predicting, but you're not prepared. You're not prepared. That's exactly why these powers which we discussed yesterday are those powers we have to accumulate. This is very good to listen, and we will like it because they're so practical. It's so connected to our day-to-day life. So we feel, yeah, this is very important. This is very important. But the thing is to be able to have these thoughts at the right time. Hmm? At the right time, I get this thought. Huh? 1 minute. Food particle. Hmm. So, huh. I only offed it, the audio video. So the thing is, if you see, all these powers, if they are accumulated, I should be able to experience it at the right time. That means you have accumulated. It is not like in that one particular situation where you need to tolerate. And there you're thinking, oh, I need to tolerate, I need to tolerate. You're just telling yourself, but you don't experience it. You're not able to tolerate, but you're reminding yourself that you have to tolerate. If you've accumulated, you will not only remember that you have to tolerate, but you will be able to tolerate. You won't find it very difficult. You find it very easy, because I explained yesterday, separation is difficult. Tolerance is easy because there's power inside. When there's power, it doesn't seem like a lot of difficulty. So right now, how much power do I have right now? In my present situation, at this point of time, how much do I have? So that I know how prepared I am for the future. A lot of people, when you ask them, how much power do you think you have? They say, just now only we are seeing, we don't have very big situations, but right now also in small situations, we are getting very irritated. Forget about big situations. So in the whole, we do understand that the amount of power that we require is not there. So then I have to understand, where am I right now? Am I in the, like when you begin, like the body, when it begins, and when you're young, there is so much strength, there's so much enthusiasm, there is so much energy. So am I in the beginning of that phase, the beginning of my journey, where I have lot of power within me that I can tolerate, I can face, I can put a full stop, I can cooperate, all these qualities I have, all these powers I have? Or am I somewhere in between, that there is a whole lot of chunks of time I'm able to do 50% of my life, I'm able to do 50% of my life in situations I'm not able to do? Am I in that phase, 50%? Or am I in the phase that small things that is the end phase? The small things can trigger so much anger, irritation, and making wrong decisions. There's no discrimination, believing wrong people, involving myself in with wrong people, absolutely not having clarity about what is right and wrong at the right time, and then going overboard in cooperation, and not able to look within and see where you're going wrong, going on looking at others and blaming others. So am I in that situation, the end of the whole of my phase? That is, the strength has diminished drastically. So am I in the beginning, the middle, or the end? Let us try to decipher this. Let us try to analyze this and find out today. So if you see our own individual life, each one of us, in our own individual life, now the beginning of this particular life, you go back to your childhood. Just go back to your childhood. You just see yourself with your parents in school and college and with everybody, the friends and relatives and all. Now looking at that, ask yourself, was it the most perfect time? You were the happiest in your childhood. Can you guarantee that? Can you vouch for that your childhood was the best? Can you say that? Yeah. Compared to now, some people's childhood would have been better. They say, yeah, I didn't have any worries, I didn't have any problems and issues and responsibilities, so I was so carefree and I was so happy, comparatively. But as a child, from the time I was born till I went to school and then college, at least to school, was I very happy. I never cried. I never felt that I didn't have something. I felt I have everything. There is nothing aprapta vastu, means it's like there is nothing which I do not have in my treasure store. I have everything. Like I'm born with a golden spoon in my mouth. Whatever I touch, it is gold. Then I have all my powers. I never got irritated or angry with my parents. Nobody took sorrow from me. I never took sorrow from anybody. This is what is the best phase. That is the first phase. So would you consider your beginning of your childhood to be the best? I'm sure most of you will agree with me that it is not so true. It is not so. This is not the best time. As I said, comparatively better. Some people say the childhood was worst. After I grew up, I'm feeling much better. Isn't it? Yes. And for some people, S means like you had very happy childhood. What is S? The childhood was better than now. But you had the best childhood, can you say? Like they say, golden spoon in the mouth, they say, na? What you touch anything, it is gold. There's never you have to struggle in your school. You never had to compare yourself to anybody. You never had to be jealous about anybody. You never felt you didn't have something. You never were scolded by your parents. You never cried in sorrow. If you didn't have all of these things, it is unimaginable for someone like you and me. Yes. It is just not you. It is just not you. No, you're just saying my childhood was not so good. It's just not you. A whole lot of people, maybe some degrees vary. Some have very worst, some okay, some manageable. But nobody would say my childhood was the best. No. Because we now being in the center, we have come across children who come and complain. They come and tell, please tell God this about this problem that I have. 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds come and tell me. Please don't tell my parents I have this problem. But please, it could be very small problem, but for them it's very big, no? Because that is their world. They say, please tell God that I have this teacher has to go away from my class. This friend of mine should be nice to me. I know so many children who don't go to school only because somebody is irritating and bullying them. So children go through so much trauma, I can't tell you, and they don't share also. So majority of the world, their childhoods, not just you and me, not just only in our country, all over the world, childhood is not so great. That is why they say any psychological problem, let us go into the childhood and see what happened to you. That's what the psychologists do. Somebody said something to you, somebody hit you, somebody abused you, somebody sexually attacked you. They all are the children only because that is the foundation, isn't it? So that means to say this is not my beginning. Just a short, this is not my beginning. And so that much strength is not there then. Understand the soul's journey. This is not the beginning. So then we understand the soul is eternal, no? It never dies. Soul is imperishable. It can never be killed. It cannot be burned. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be drowned. The body gets drowned. The body gets burnt. The body gets destroyed. So the soul never. So if I am the soul and I'm eternal, when I leave this body, where am I going? When there is death of this body, they say dehant, mana deh ka ant hua. Then what happened to the soul? Deh ka ant ho gaya, that there is the end of the body. Then what did the soul do then? It must have gone and taken support of another body. 100% would have gone to take another body. Now, this is not my beginning. We all agree this is not our beginning. So the soul must have had a birth before also, much before also, and many births before also. So many births it has taken and come here. How do we know we have taken many births? This is not the beginning. First. Second thing, we see certain personalities in small children that you cannot learn in just 1 to 2 years. Because a sanskar, as we have mentioned, any habit pattern has to be learned, has to be practiced a lot for it to become very strong in your personality. It has to be learned a lot. It has to be practiced a lot. Certain traits you will see in children, like anger or irritation or stubbornness, which is so strong that you do understand it is not come from this 1-2 years of practice. And for all you know, they are not exposed to anger at all. 1 or 2-year-old child gets a lot of love from parents. Maximum time, they're only exposed to love. But where do they pick it up from? They're picking it up from the past. As I said, some sanskaras you get it by practicing in your life. Some you get it, but from genetically from your parents and everything. But some you get it from past lives, past births. So there are many past births we have taken, and whatever sanskar which is strong in me, like I don't want to be like this, but it is there. See that I'll tell you how sanskaras work so strong. There is this couple and everything, and like she's very active person and she's very capable. So if it's a wedding of her cousin or wedding of her brother-in-law, everywhere she's called and she does everything. She takes care of the husband, he has certain food requirements and all, she'll take care of all of that, but she can't be just sitting right in front of him all the time, no. But the thing is, any gathering, anywhere they go, the husband is always upset, always mood off, always he will be unhappy, and he will not eat, he will not drink, he will not enjoy the gathering. Without her, he'll enjoy. But with her, he will not enjoy. Why? Because you did not come and sit next to me. You sat in another car, but you did not sit in the car which I was sitting in. So much possessiveness, it's like they married for 20 years. Not even now, you should not do this, you should not. So he tells me, sister, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. But it is so strong in me, that it is destroying my relationships. My parents are irritated with me. They'll say, don't come. Only the function day you come, because anyway you will be mood off and you'll be roaming around the whole house without talking to anybody. So you come on the function day only. Friends also say, no, you come later on. Don't come quickly. Bhabhi can come. Baba means this wife can come. You don't come. Because of that, he's getting alienated by family members and friends and colleagues, and everybody are alienating him. Same thing he will do with his children also. So the thing is, what is happening is that this is a sanskar, that he is very intelligent, he's a scientist, he's doing so well in his company, he's earning very well, but happiness nothing, because it's sanskar. So this sanskar, you think he got it from his childhood? No, from many births. That is why it is so strong. Even though it is creating, see, if there is this toothpick is here, it will come and prick you. You will avoid these toothpicks, no? Because it is paining, you will know this is giving me pain. So immediately you will avoid. No, Baba, once I pricked it, it's paining. I don't want this toothpick to be around me. I don't want to use it for pricking me. And you will keep it aside, no? Isn't it? Now, when a particular sanskar is giving me so much sorrow, I am not able to remove it. Others are also complaining, your nature is not good. If you keep continuing this, I will leave you. People are threatening also. But yet I am not able to change. Meaning it is so strong, embedded within me, and this must be coming from not this birth. From this birth, there are certain sanskaras that you can get rid of. If you picked up only this birth, like for example, you are a smoker. You want to get rid of it? You can. There are so many people who are there who will tell their stories. Oh, for the past 40 years, I'm not smoking, but I used to smoke a lot. They can get it. People who are alcoholics, they will also get rid of it. There's no problem. If they really put their mind to it, they feel they can, they will. There are a lot of people who do that. In drug addict, yeah, they can go. They can overcome. There are a lot of people who have done it, because this is something you picked up in this life. You can. But something which is coming from the past is very, very difficult. There's a very, very strong sanskara. So that means there has been a lot of past. And there is also a future after death also. The soul is eternal. The body finishes, but the soul is still there. That is why they keep a small little deep, lamp in front, near the head of the person who dies. Someone who's left the body, they put a small little deep, which signifies the soul is still alive. And when they make food and everything and offer, they will make food what he used to like or she used to like. That means the soul is still alive. Now you will say, sister, how many births we took in the past? How many we are going to take in the future? What is this? We can go on taking birth and death, birth, and what's the purpose of so many births and deaths? Because our sanskaras are only becoming stronger, our negative sanskaras. They're becoming only stronger after each birth. So what is the purpose of this life and death? Now let me tell you. You have to compare this to a nature, because see, this body also grows naturally. We don't give instructions. God doesn't give instruction. You're a child now. After 10 years, you will become a little. You will come into this. Where after you become 19, you become 15, you become a teenager. So God doesn't let the body grow like that. It is automatic process for everybody. Anything automatic doesn't happen. You go to the doctor, see, my child's teeth all have not fallen down, what to do? This is the age it had to fall, it's not fall. Actually, teeth falling is like, what is this going on? People should be worried. But no, people will say the teeth all should fall for the child. Why it's not falling? What's going on? So there are natural things like how there's rainy season, there is winter, there is summer. It's an automatic process. Same way the body also grows automatically. In the same way, everything, if you see in nature, it is cyclic. Have you noticed? You put a seed, there is a tree, there's a fruit, there's a seed, then a seed you sow, again a tree and the fruit and then the seed, and everything is cyclic. I am child, I am this thing, and I'm that thing, and I'm old age, and then again a child. Again next birth, I'm a child again. It's morning, it's afternoon, it's evening, night. Again, you say, night finished my life. So, no, again another morning. This is January, February, March. Again it will be January. Isn't it? There's rainy season, there's winter, there's summer. Again there'll be rainy season. Every nature, the earth revolves around the sun and goes around 1 year, again it will go around. So all through, if you see, everything is cyclic in nature. So the journey of the soul is also cyclic, and this cycle is very significant. You can compare it to a drama or a movie. If you see, the very first scene is always all are happy. Have you noticed in a movie how they will be? All are happy, parents, children, grandchildren, whatever. They're all very happy and enjoying the life. Then second scene, as you're watching the movie, you are thinking, now the villain will come. No, when will he come? Like that you're thinking, because something wrong has to happen, or else there's no twist in the movie. So then what happens? Third scene, the villain enters. All commotion will take place. That happiness is gone. And the fourth scene is super commotion, in the sense that absolutely there is no happiness, and all are fighting and quarreling and everything and all sorts of problems. And then there is a small scene that will be there. If you have noticed in a movie, in the last scene, the hero will go and finish that villain. Finish means he'll get justice, something like that. So when that happens, then the villain is finished. And then you come back to the first scene. Happy days are here again. The happy days are here. This is how any movie or drama is supposed to be. And it is, most of it, generally, I'm not saying all stories are like that, but mostly the storyline will be like this. So the journey of the soul is also like that. The first, it's perfect. The soul has nothing lacking. Nothing lacking in the soul. That means it's the beginning. It's very lucky, it's very pure, it's very happy. The lesser the purity, the more the unhappiness. So when there is happiness, that means the soul is pure. Now, anything which is not constant, it is not real. Purity is not high. If I'm feeling happiness in the morning, afternoon I'm feeling sorrow. What do you call that? That is not real happiness. Happiness is something that you can sustain. Anything real can be sustained. That is not the case now, no? So in the beginning, the soul is so pure and so happy. All the 7 qualities of the soul, the love, peace, happiness, purity, bliss, strength, knowledge, everything is the highest form it will be. That is the beginning of the soul. And slowly it will diminish. And then you come to the point where there is all these qualities have taken back seat, and all the weaknesses have taken the front seat. Anger, irritation, attachment, greed, jealousy, hatred, stubbornness, sensitivity. So we are not there in the beginning, but we know there was a beginning. There was a beginning. That is why we talk about, even though we've never seen anything perfect, but we can describe perfection. No, you should not have expectations in relationship. You should accept, you should be very nice, you should sacrifice. You're a mother, so you should sacrifice. You're a father, so you should be responsible. So we know what all qualities each one should have. Even though we might have seen nobody perfect, but internally we understand. So even you compare this cycle as a drama, naturally, this stage will be considered, this whole world, this earth will be considered as a stage only. Na? And you are an actor and I am an actor. But the difference between these actors on this stage and the actors there and that normal that or that limited stage is that they can change their role. If somebody is not well, then he will say, I'm not well, I'm not coming. So how about you? How about the another person play my role? He also knows my dialogues. But yeah, no problem. You are not well, take rest. So then what happens? The other person comes and plays the role, isn't it? And he will wear the costume that is required for that particular role. Isn't it? But for us, if we leave this body, our role is finished. We are not going to play the role of whatever the role we have received here. We cannot play the role. We will not be able to take the same costume, nor will anybody else be able to take the role or the costume. Nobody can be like me. My experiences, my capabilities, my exposure, whatever I have, nobody can be like me. So this drama is very accurate. So even if I look at somebody and say this person is very good, I cannot become like them, they can never become like me. That is not possible because this is a very clearly assigned roles which are given for everybody. It's all assigned. We cannot. And every scene, I said, every scene in this drama is beneficial. This is drama. There's some things that is happening, and you say, why is it happening? You do not question it because that is drama. That scene has to happen at this point of time, and it is happening. It is playing out. And as an audience, like I remember when I was young, I went to a movie, and the villain was running, and he hid behind a tree, and the hero came, and he's seeing left, he's seeing right, but the villain is into the left tree. No, so somebody got up. And they said, in the movie theater, I must have been fifth class. He got up and he said, left, left, go to left, left, so loud that one is shouting. Everybody says, shh, shh, sit down. What are you shouting at like that? That's just a movie. Will the hero listen? Will the hero be able to hear your screaming? Go to the left or something like that. So, movie is something you to just observe, that is something will pass by, that scene will go away. And people have watched it so many times. So nothing is going to be there. So the thing is, we are all audience for this drama, which is going on every scene. And there is benefit in every drama. Every scene in this drama, there is benefit. There is nothing which you can say is not beneficial. Somebody had messaged me, they're saying this stuff. After 20 years, I am sitting and I'm talking to my 16-year-old daughter. Because of lockdown, I'm not going to work. And so I'm talking to my daughter. She has so many things to share. Always I'm very busy traveling and this and that. Sometimes we sit and talk, but so much time I've never spent with my daughter. She's so talented. She writes so well. She has written so much journal she's written, and she's showing me all of that. And I'm appreciating that. Every day morning, I come up and say, hey, I call her and I say, come, show me what you've written. Come, show me. Like that. I'm so happy. She's blogging and all that in this some site and all. She blogs and all, and she has a beautiful thoughts of what she wants to become. She wants to go into advertising. I'm so happy, sister. I didn't even know, and I was cursing this coronavirus. I'm cursing everything, and he was going to actually travel to Germany. He was going to travel when they started, so he just stopped and he didn't go. So he's telling all my trips, all my work pending, and this and that, all money, everything. But this joy I will never miss, his telling, of seeing my daughter like that. And my son is so good in taking care of himself. I don't know, he does so many exercises, so many workouts he does. I did not know it's so hard, and what kind of food and everything diet he maintains. So I'm watching him and I'm thinking, I never had a discipline like that when I was 21. Look at this boy, how much disciplined is. So he's so beneficial, sister. So every scene, even though it is so terrible it is, but there is benefit in everything. Unless we don't look for it, we won't find it, isn't it? So in the same way, if you see this drama, whatever is happening around us, it is beneficial. 100% is beneficial. A lot of people ask questions, sister, what kind of a drama is this? Who is the director? Okay, we are all actors, but who's the director? Why is there so much pain, suffering, poverty, and everything? Who is this director? You'll say, God is a director. They'll say, what is this? God is doing this kind of activities, giving sorrow to people and everything. We tell them, I always tell them, yes. What is the role of a director? You first tell me. What is the role of a director? They say, the role of the director is to direct. According to the script, your dialogue is this time. This is the kind of expression you should have, and so on and so forth. So he will teach you how to go about. But once you come onto the stage and the audience is sitting in front of you, if you forget your dialogue, would the director come onto the stage and say, hey, you're wrong, don't speak like that, and change your dialogue? Would he say that? No, he cannot interfere. He cannot come onto the stage. And you can't even turn around and look at the director also, because you are now on the stage, you have to act. So you can tell me, if someone throws stones at the actor or throws flowers on the actor, who's responsible? The director or the actor? Already direction has taken place. What is right, what is wrong, everybody knows. Even little child also will know. If we don't follow what is right, then there will be stones, no? If I'm doing something right, some flowers will come. So I determine, my actions determine whether a tomato will be thrown onto me or some flowers will be thrown onto me. It depends upon my actions. No? So how can I blame the director? So as I said, everything is beneficial. Nothing is not of benefit. Jo hua, so acha. What happened is good. What is happening is good. What is going to happen is or better, more better than good. I will share one experience, and then I'll get to show you the picture and explain. I was before I came, I think before I came to Brahma Kumaris, I think 2-3 years before that, I was helping out a doctor in a clinic. Helping out in the sense, I went there like to learn. My colleague, he was in the hospital and was a psychiatrist, and so I was studying psychology. So my mother felt I will learn a lot in his clinic, so I would go there and they would do a lot of psychometric testing. So I would just help that kind of thing. I picked up a lot. How they sit with the patients and how they talk, how they take the case study and everything. I picked up a lot. So and I was going there regularly, and then after my MA, I was going there quite a bit. I would independently start talking to cases, patients, and all. So I thought that this is my career and this is where I need to go, and I want to study further in this particular field, that is clinical psychology. So clinical psychology is something which is only now, I don't know where it is there. At them it was, and also it was there in NIMHANS. And NIMHANS was a very wonderful program they had for MPhil. So my father and my professor, they all encouraged me to go there. So I wrote my entrance there. I got through the entrance and the written. So I was extremely happy that I got through the written. And I must have been meditating for maybe 1.5-2 years or something then. I don't remember how long, on and off. So then when I went there, they said, you are in the list, the first list, that is you in the written, you got through. So now we will have what we call as personal interview. So then I was waiting there. The alphabetical order, surnames they were calling. My surname went away, that alphabet. They didn't call me. So I went and asked. They said, no, you cannot be allowed for this interview. I said, why not? My name is on the list. They said, no, but the thing is, your MA results are not out now. I said, but for me, it is good. We had exams, late exams we had. So my thing will come in June. I said, no, we won't allow you. Try next year. I said, sir, I got, you see the marks that I got in the first year of my MA. How will I fail in the second year? If I fail, let us say, then I'll give back the seat. Okay. They said, sorry, this is not our policy. We cannot give you the seat. Please go and try next year. I was so disappointed. I came back home, and then my parents and everybody, they said, okay, fine, try next year. But in the meantime, I should occupy myself. So I decided to work for the psychiatrist full time. And so I told the doctor that I don't want to come 9 to 5 because I want to prepare for my MPhil. So how about coming, like per case? If you tell me that morning, afternoon, some cases are there, that according, I'll come and finish the cases and go. The doctor said, now I'll pay you per case. Per case, I'll pay you. So I started going. A lot of cases, he would be a consultant here in, there used to be a hospital called Medwin. Is it still there, Pravina? Medwin? It's there, is it? One Medwin, one hospital was there. And then he was in this NIMS hospital. And then he was also sitting in some other hospital. 3 hospitals he used to send patients. So then what happened? One day, one girl was brought from Charminar, the old city. She was raped. And she had, deep depression and everything. So her mother kept on prodding the daughter, the madam is asking questions, answer. So I must have been 23 at that time. So the more I kept on asking, the girl bored, she was withdrawing. She was not answering because I have to write on the report that she has so much depression, she's moderate depression. According to the medication doctor will give, no. So I'm going on asking, but she's not respond. Naturally, she's in deep depression. So I understood that she must be suicidal. She's not able to talk and everything. She's depressed. So I wrote and I kept that file on that particular report on the doctor's desk because he'll come in the evening and he will do consultation. So this was like very normal. Everything was normal. And then I went to my envelope for that day. How many, I must have done cases, that much money I took. I sat in the car and I'm driving home. And as I'm driving home, some sort of heaviness came. I say, what the eyes are getting wet, and I'm just wiping and driving. I'm wiping my eyes and driving. When I came home, my parents saw me and said, what happened? Did the doctor shout at you or something? Did you do a mistake? I said, no, the doctor will never shout. He never shouted. What happened? My father was thinking, did you hit the car somewhere? Or did somebody hit your car? I said, no, nothing like that. My father went out to see the car. Oh, she came and sat and asked me, tell me what happened. I said, what kind of a career is this that I picked up? That the girl is crying. Even now, she's in a very bad condition. She's depressed. She can try to commit suicide any minute, like that she is. And for that, I took money and I came. This money, I thought good money. Because there's no result. I told my mother, you're a doctor, you give medicine, he becomes all right, he'll thank you. My father is a professor, he'll teach somebody that MBA, he'll go get a job and he'll write a letter, thank you, sir, thank you, sir, thank you, sir. But what is this? There is no benefit for that particular person. And, I have come home taking money. My mother said, no, don't, think so much. Your career is nothing. We can change it. You can do something else also. Don't feel bad so much. So my mother said, why don't you go to center, meditate sometime and come, you'll feel better. So I came to center. I sat in the meditation room and just then the sister said, can you sit with somebody? The sister here said, can you sit with somebody? Because that person is crying. Can you see whether she needs medication or not, Radhika? Because you have this, you're in that field. So it would be good if you sit because she's crying like anything since afternoon. She's crying. I went and sat with her and then I spoke to her. I asked her things and I listened to her, everything. I don't know, after all that she left, and I'm feeling so much energy. And I told the sister that she's not clinically depressed. She's just feeling low. Mother-in-law problems. No, there's a lot of things that she'll overcome. It's situational, it is. So when I'm going, I am feeling so much energy, I can't tell you. I literally was skipping and going home like that it was. Everybody at home was so surprised of how much energy, how much happiness it is there. Then I had asked Sister Krina, who was there in the center at that time, what happened? Why did I suddenly get so much energy? Because when I came to the center, I was feeling very low, you know, worried about my future, worried about my career. How come I felt so much energy and I felt so good? And she said, then I said, is it because I was thinking all nice things and I told that lady, I gave her encouragement or something like that? She said, no. She said, it's got nothing to do with you, nothing to do with me. She said, that lady gave you good wishes. She got benefit. Huh? She felt nice sitting with you. So she thought, oh, she's so young, but look how nicely she's listening and she's telling me things and all. So she felt so grateful and she gave me good wishes. And that gave you so much strength. I said, this is very good on it. Person is taking benefit, is able to give you good wishes, it's bringing energy. So this is the career I would like to do. No, I didn't tell anybody that I want to dedicate myself Brahma Kumaris because they would have created so much commotion at home. But I didn't tell. It took a lot of time. But I decided that. And I was so glad. I was so glad that I did not get in that MPhil program because I would be stuck with this whole thing, which I'm not at all happy. But people are still unhappy, and I'm going on earning money through that. I'll never be happy there. See? So though at that time I felt bad why this is happening. When that happened, I'll tell you, when that happened, I sat and I was speaking to God, and God, I felt, was telling me that the screen is shut. You want me to open and you want to see on the stage why this happened. So God was like, I felt God is telling me, wait and see. You won't know why this is happening in this drama, why this scene has come in front of you, why you're not allowed in this person interview. You'll come to know later. Wait and see. It took me 1 year to wait and see. So everything that happens to us is beneficial. So this whole cycle, if you understand the meaning of it, in every loss you will see gain. In every loss you will see gain. To remember this particular understanding of the meaning of the spiritual significance, they put a symbol. You must have seen this symbol. I'll show you now. They put this symbol, during a wedding, during Grah Pravesh, housewarming, during car inauguration, during any auspicious occasion, they'll put that symbol. And they say, by putting it, all auspiciousness will be there. But you have seen that people have put that form, that particular symbol during weddings, and there have been divorces. They put that symbol and there's been accidents of vehicles. They put the symbol and the problems are happening in the homes of housewarmings. So now the question is, what is the meaning of this symbol? Why do we put that symbol at all? What is this symbol? I'll show you now. It's a huge book. Here you are. It is called the swastika. Is it clear, Pravina? Not clear. No, it's clear. So this is the swastika. Swastika means swaka astitva, the reality of the self, the journey of the self, the journey. This is a cycle. It's written here. The world drama wheel. So this swastika, if you see, when they put the swastika, they always put a dot in between, if you have observed. And the dot signifies the soul. So this is the journey of the soul. Just by drawing this in auspicious occasions, there is no benefit. But when you understand the meaning behind it, they say in every loss you will see gain. So let us start how this is like a cycle. This is like a cycle, just like this. Like this, it's going like chakra. So this is the drama. The first scene, the second scene, the third scene, and the fourth and the small, the fifth scene. The first scene, as I mentioned, is a perfect time. The period here, if you see this particular arrow, the ones who lived here, were givers. They were always giving. So that is why the arrow is like this, giving. No takers are here. Nobody is asking for anything. I'll put like this and then. course, it's little. Percussion is uncle. Look, this is like I have to lean back. So if you see here, you will understand. So the ones who lived here lived for 1,050 years. So there's a golden period of the soul for 1,050 years. And this is called the golden age or Satyug. Satyug means a time of truth. And golden age means it is the age of the beginning of the soul. And the soul is in most highest purity, highest purity. So they say when people were ruling here and living here, there were no divorces, there were no courts or prisons, there were no seeking for God also. There were no churches, no temples, no mosque, nothing. There is no seeking for God because they were so sorrow is there, they'll seek for God. No, so there is no seeking for God. And also there are absolutely no hospitals. So you can understand what kind of period of time it was. Like even 100 years ago, nobody knew what was cancer. So like that, if you go back, this is 5,000 years cycle. So 5,000 years ago, if you see this period of time of 1,050 years, total happiness, and they ruled so beautifully, nobody had any sorrow there. That is why we remember them even till today and we worship them, because they ruled so beautifully. They are our ancestors. The second period, if you see that the arrow has come down. The arrow has come down. The arrow has come down, meaning the amount of purity and perfection which was here, 2% has come down. Just 2%. Even then, there is still no sorrow. There is no experience of sorrow at all. So this also lasts for 1,050 years. This is called the Treta Yuga. Treta actually means coming down. This is called the silver period. This is golden period. This is silver period. These two periods together is 2,500 years. This is called heaven or paradise by Christians. This is called Jannat by Islam. It is called Swarg by Hindus. So this is the same period. After that, it was very much on this earth. It was like the ruling on this earth. Then the third period, if you see, it is called the Copper Age. Copper Age or Dwapar. Dwapar means split of land and split of religion. So this is where all religious founders will come, because there is sorrow now. People are calling out in sorrow. So that is why the arrow is like this. This is the time of begging. God, please, God, give me happiness. I'm so sorrowful. So here the sorrow is begun. So the begging has begun. So here first Abraham comes and he establishes Judaism. Then comes Buddha, he establishes Buddhism. Then Christ comes and establishes Christianity. And then you have our Prophet Muhammad and he establishes Islam. So they all come at their own respective times with the power of their own soul. They establish the religions in this period. Because there is that demand and seeking. Here there was no need for God also. They didn't remember also. Now the fourth period, if you see, the arrows like this. Arrows like this means they raise they raise their hand for violence with no reason. Also, they will raise their hand for violence and kill others. So this is Kali Yuga. Kalaha Kalesh was all suffering, and this also lasts for 1,250 years. And this is the most darkest period for the soul. Most darkest period. This helplessness, nothing can be done. Like that it is. Here at least there was solution. Something is there, some solution is there. Some problem, some solution. Here, problems are so many, solutions are not there. So this particular period of time, the soul's darkest period begins. And this is where the end of this darkest period, that is Kali Yuga, is a period of time which is called the confluence age. You should see the people sitting here and meditating. This is a period of time where you connect to God directly. And you take strength, because to transform from the darkest period to the most glowing period, to go into a glowing period, the transformation period is here. This is called the confluence age. This lasts for 100 years. In the end of Kali Yuga it comes. This is also called the auspicious confluence age, because this is the age where everything will cooperate with you if you want to become better. Time, thoughts, God, everything will help you. This is also called Purushottama Sangam Yuga. That is, you can become the highest among humans. Purushottam, Purushome Uttam. You can become at this period of time. This is the period of time where you connect to God directly with no mediators. We are right now in the confluence age. 84 years of the confluence age is over. And we are right here in this confluence age right now. A lot of people ask questions. How do we know, sister, that Kali Yuga has ended? How do we know that? It's written in the scriptures. What is the end of Kali Yuga? Is when you start buying water. I never imagined we'll ever buy water when we were in school. It's not about Bisleri water. It's about tankers. Water tankers we are buying. Whether summer, no summer, I don't know where are you all from. But in Hyderabad, we are going on buying water, and all through the year we buy, no? All through the year. Always. So when you buy water, that means it's a sign of Kali Yuga. End of Kali Yuga, sorry. When a man marries a man and a woman marries a woman, which is happening. That is also end of Kali Yuga. When a man will have a hairstyle of a woman and woman will have a hairstyle of a man, that is also end of Kali Yuga. Now the thing is, it's not about right and wrong. See, convenience sake, somebody can cut their hair and make it like a boy. That is nothing wrong. But it is a sign of Kali Yuga. They've written in that, and they say, "Stree apna var mangengi." When a girl goes and proposes to a boy, in those days they can't imagine. I think so. So a girl will go propose to a boy, then it is considered the end of Kali Yuga. So this is the sign. If you know that is you, nobody will say this is Satyuga, no? Would you say? Now this is Satyuga, such a golden period is going on. No, this is the end of the cycle. End may be end. Now is the time of transformation. If you see about when we were in school and all, if you play some kind of a bhajans and some bhakti thing is to come on the TV, we would off it. We don't like to see all that. Now, there's so many channels. Bhakti, Astha, Bhakti channel. Don't know what all. We don't watch TV, so we don't know. But so many channels. They say, sister, we saw you know, this Brahma Kumari's program in this channel, that channel. They keep saying. And all youngsters, when I'm traveling, youngsters come and tell me, we listen to Shivani Ben in the TV, this, that. So it's not about the age also now, because it is the soul is old now. And every soul is seeking. So many youngsters come to the center. And even when I came to the center, I was 21. So the thing is that the soul has become old, because the whole cycle is over now. And as the seeking is there. So even if you go to a bookstore, the other day, not other day, before lockdown, I went to Panipat, na? Was it Panipat? Yeah. I went to Panipat for a meditation camp I had to take. So there's a bookstore in the Hyderabad airport, a bookstore, just passing by. And I see that there are a lot of books. And when I was in school, when I was in college, I used to read a lot. At that time, there were a lot of story books and fiction books, which would be kept as bestsellers in between. There used to be only this one shop, Walden. I used to go there, and there used to be this island type of thing, and they will display books, which are the most best-selling books, bestsellers, all fiction. And I just stole a glance towards a bookstore. All our how-to books are there. How to overcome anger, how to overcome this, how to be a better, to change. Is there, because everybody is seeking to become better, and they're just fed up with what is mind. Everybody, they're finding their own way, of course, some way, something. So this is the confluence age, the time of transformation. If you go to Srisailam, they'll show you what is confluence age. They don't know what they're showing confluence age, but then they just tell you that you bend your forehead to the lingam and touch it. Srisailam is a temple here, I think 6 hours from Hyderabad. It comes under which district? Srisailam comes in which district? I don't know. It's a very, you must have heard about Jyotirlingas, the Shiva temples. This is one among them, Srisailam, that is there in Andhra. It comes under Andhra, not Telangana. Na? It comes under Andhra. So this particular temple, they'll tell you, please bend down and touch your forehead to the lingam, they say. Nowhere they will tell you that, only there they will tell. Now they've stopped it, but at one point they used to do. The meaning is that confluence age means is a time of transformation. If you have to transform, you have to become from impure to pure. You have to let the soul get connected to God directly. You don't need mediators. Mediators means it's very difficult. Go directly to Him. That's why they say touch your forehead means the soul is here. Touch God directly. They'll make you do that. You all bend down and touch the forehead with this. So another way they show is in Kumbh Mela, they say rivers and ocean meet, and that is a time to dip yourself and become pure. Now, dipping water in any water will not make you pure, because whatever actions are performed through the body, the soul is deciding and performing these actions. The soul is sinning. The body is not. Body is just a car. So accident happens, you take the car and put in jail, or the driver? Driver, no. Kurnool district, yes. Acha, it's in Kurnool district, is it? Srishaila? I didn't know that. Yeah, AP it is. Kurnool district it is. Our Annapurna is Kurnool? No? No, Pullareddy first stop was there, na? Kurnool only, na? This close it is for her. 6 hours only. So what was I telling, Pravina? It's already 8, so I need to wind up now. So they say the oceans and the rivers meet, and when you dip it, you will become pure. Now see, how can the body, how can you, by dipping your body in the water, the soul will become pure? So you can perform all the sins in the world and go dip yourself. Then why do you have to go and dip yourself every year? When you become pure, once you again go and dip, is it? When you become pure, don't you get the power not to perform such actions again? Now, okay, if your body is you're dipping in the water and getting pure, then the question is that when you burn the whole body and someone dies, then the next birth you won't carry your sins. It's finished with the body, is it? You're not just dipping, you're burning it only. Don't we say when something wrong happens to you, don't you say ये जन्मला चेసిన कर्मना? Telugu they say. That means to say, I don't know कौन सा जन्म में क्या किया है, what life I have done, what that I'm experiencing this now. Don't they say that? So if it was finished with the body only, why am I experiencing even now? The soul is the one who's performing these actions. The soul goes to the pain and pleasure. The soul is the one who has to be purified, and the soul can't be purified through water. So the meaning of that ocean and rivers meeting is that ocean is God. He doesn't take life and death. He's only in one place. We are rivers. We flow. Life and death and so many different lives. We flow. So when rivers and ocean meet, that is a time of purification, they say. That is confluence age. It's a time they're talking about. And ocean is compared, not metaphorically compared to God. Ocean is not God. Rivers are not we, but it is like they're just showing symbolically. This particular symbol is depicted in 3 ways in Bhakti. First, they'll ask you when you go to a temple to go around the mandir, the temple. No, they go around. They won't tell you. We all know. We do it automatically. Some go for 3 times. Some go for 8 times. Some dip themselves in the water and then do somersault also. Around in big temples, they do that. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you ever seen it, Pravina? That they go around the temple with wet clothes. They will go. Sashtra Namaskaram kaadu. They will do somersault. Bollutar itla. They will go on rolling themselves around the temple. So the meaning is only one. Whether you roll, whether you walk, whether you do whatever, the meaning is, oh God, I have gone around the cycle. You've seen in Tirupati, na? Yeah, I also saw in Tirupati only. Tirupati only they do. Many other temples they might be doing, but I saw in Tirupati. So when you go around, the meaning is that God, I have gone around the cycle. That is from the golden age to iron age. I've gone around the cycle. I've gone around the cycle. And in front of the deity, you do like this and say, please make me like this deity. Because who used to live in the golden age? The deities used to live. No, they used to rule so beautifully. They worship. May I have those qualities once again? Because I've lost all of them. Because I came to the end of the cycle now. So that is the meaning of going around. There is no other meaning. If you don't understand this meaning and you're going around, it's like exercise only. It's just exercise. The meaning is this: God, I've gone around the cycle, I've finished my cycle, I've come to the end of the cycle. Please let me get those qualities back again, which I have lost. We don't learn anything new. To transform is not to learn anything new. We need to go back to what we originally were. That's all. Because souls originally is love, peace, and happiness. No? Another way they show is in the hand of Sri Vishnu and Sri Krishna, there is the Swadarshan Chakra that he is spinning and he's beheading all the asuras, the devilish people. Now the thing is, violence is not good. Maybe a person could be very good, another person could be a very most like a devilish person is there. But can we kill him? However divine you may be, there are all these this is the misunderstanding. All these godmen who are there, who are sadhu, santa, whoever they are giving all these lectures and they have followers. So the disciples tell them, even if you have do anything wrong, it's okay because you are divine. No, that's not right. The more divine you are, the more control you should have. More non-violent you should be. Somebody was asking, sister, why do these people do wrong things? Because they come to that point that everybody, feels their ego and they say nothing's wrong. You can go on doing all these things. Nothing wrong. So what I'm trying to say here is that he never beheaded anybody. Sri Krishna, Sri Vishnu, no. Swadarshana Chakra. Swa for darshan karne wala chakra, that you are able to see yourself. That is the chakra that he was spinning, that I went from golden age to now. This is spinning and is spinning and spinning. That he was beheaded. His weakness is within him. That where did I come from? What kind of generations I've come from? And why should I perform such actions? One brother was telling, sister, all my friends are alcoholics. All my friends do wrong actions. I am always with them. I tell myself, what family do I come from? What kind of a person my father is, what kind of a role he played in this country, what a great man he was, and what a great woman my mother was, and how great my brother is. I can never do such things. Just remembering one generation before. He travels abroad with drunkards only. There you should consider them as drunkards only. That's what his wife tells me. He never. Just remembering one generation before. You can imagine where we have come from, what a old country this is, the most ancient country. We've had deities ruling this earth. So that kind of beginning we had, and we have come here. How can we perform such action? So that is called Swadarshana Chakra. So when you're spinning the discus, you behead the asura within you. To kill an asura outside doesn't take much time. But to kill an asura within you, that is the devilish trait within you, takes a lot of strength. The third and the final way they show this was is in temple. They say temple, it's very, very important that you reach. I just take 2 minutes. I took 10 minutes more today. I'm sorry about that. Suddenly I've taken yesterday also I took time, it looks like. So if you go to a temple, they say you should reach the temple during Aarti time. What do you say for Aarti? That is Archana, huh? Deeparadhana. So they'll take the deep and they'll do like this, no? So for that, you should reach at that time. There's certain fixed times so then every temple. So when you go there, they will do Aarti. So when they do that like this, they'll do that and they'll come to you. And you're supposed to do like this. And you put some money and coins in it. That's what usually happens. What is the meaning of that? If you ask anybody, even the pujari also, why you do that? Said, no, it's good. We're praising the deities and we are giving blessings or something like that, they say. But the meaning is this. When temples were built about 2,500 years ago, they would tell the meaning of why they're doing it. Now nobody is telling. Deep is a soul. They're saying, oh soul, you've gone around the cycle. You've gone around the Aarti means you've gone around the cycle. You've gone around the cycle and they'll come to you. You're supposed to touch that light like this and say, yes, I'm the same soul. I agree with you. I've gone down the cycle. I, the soul, have gone down the cycle. Then they say, in the beginning, those pujaris used to say, 5 40 paise, give what is not necessary. So they would take some coins and put it, which is just simple coins, which means to say, I have come to the end of the cycle. Now I have to give up my vices. This anger, ego, lust, attachment, all that I'm giving up. So In that form of that, all those vices, symbolically, they'll put coins in it. I'm giving away my vices because I have finished my cycle. This is like a reminder that I finished my cycle. That's what it means. This is the whole meaning of this swastika. Now, tomorrow, what I'll take up is that a lot of people ask questions. Now, if the souls are there in the golden period, they were so divine, why did you all descend in this horrible Kali? What happened? The whole journey. And the second thing is that why good people, they suffer bad things, and bad people, they're so happy and going about life very nicely. Why such things happen? Why there is disease? Why there is suffering? All these questions I'll answer tomorrow through another class. The whole understanding of the karma philosophy. Okay, so I'll take up tomorrow. If any questions, so because we don't have time, so any questions you have, you can always email me and I'll respond. We will have 2 minutes of silence and we will end it. Okay, I can take one question. One question if anybody has a question. Hmm. Who controls the soul? You're saying, na? The soul is controlled by the soul itself. The soul is who you are. Your thoughts, what you're thinking, your decisions, what you're taking determines what you do in life. No? You are a soul. So you're controlling yourself. Mm. But now we've come to such a point that our mind is not listening to us. Uh, could you please elaborate the last 2 powers of yesterday? Tomorrow is a much more lamba class. Now, see, the power to withdraw is to introspect. Hmm? I'll give you an example. Somebody came and they were telling me about somebody so much, I feel so much hatred towards this girl. I hate her, she's going on and on. And I told, yeah, she's a behavior, but whatever behavior she expressed and informed me, I don't say that so much hateful it is. She's not, she's not mannerful, but that doesn't mean she's a hateful character. So then I said, what is making you hate her so much? What is it that is making you just think about it? Look within yourself. What is making you feel so discomfort and so much, this animosity towards that girl? Because she didn't do anything personally to you. Nothing happened. But you don't like the look of her. So I said, you spend some time in silence and meditation every day. And you ask God, what is it within me? Why so much anger is coming when I see her? She came out after 1 week. She comes and tells me, sister, I came to know why I'm having such hatred, because I kept on looking within myself. Why should I disturb myself if somebody is the way they are, how she doesn't like how she talks, she doesn't like how she walks, she doesn't like how she behaves. If anything, she doesn't like. So I said, when she asked herself, I think she came to a conclusion that she's very jealous about it. We keep thinking that somebody is wrong out there, but actually there's something wrong inside. This is a spy, this is the enemy inside, which makes us see things and listen to things like this. That is why we have to withdraw, like the tortoise withdraws to keep on looking within her. Is it right what I'm doing? This is okay. Am I fine? Are these feelings important? Is it good to talk like this? Yeah, who am I really? Am I not a soul? When I'm not doing anything, can't I remind myself that I'm a soul and everybody has souls and I have good wishes for everyone? Why there is that feeling? That is called withdraw. Pack up is that luggage and all is shown in the picture. Full stop. Put a full stop to whatever is happening. That you need a lot of strength to say, no, I don't want to think anymore about this. So the minute you think, no, I don't want to think, and you put a full stop. But now, because when you don't have the strength of that, the pack up, we keep on repeating the same thought, same way it keeps coming back. Why did he say that? Why did she do that? Why did it happen to me? Why did I not do that? It keeps on repeating, because there's no strength to stop it. There's no full stop. Always comma, 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 question marks, question marks. It is being ever ready. So when you have the power to pack up, you're ready for any power. You will never give an excuse. Oh, I was so tired, so I slapped him. You cannot say that then. There won't be any excuses if you have the power to put a full stop. So these are the 2 powers. Another question is there? We go through many lives, but we don't be remember. See, there, because the thing is, what happens is when the soul leaves the body, there's an automatic process that the soul, especially when it leaves here, all the memories get erased when it enters the womb. It's automatic, or else the soul will go crazy, carrying so many experiences from the past. But some children, very rarely, like till the age of 6, they can. Some people can. Some children have spoken about the past lives. Mm. They have these thoughts like, I was in so and so town, and these were my parents, and all that. That particular year, I went here. They will. It turns out right also, but there is no point of remembering it, because see, when you cook rice, huh, and you take one particular piece of rice, one dana, you call it, and then you press it. If it is cooked, you will know that the whole rice is cooked, isn't it? So this one particular life you see, your behavior, your thoughts, your interactions, your worrying, your how different you are from your family members, that itself shows how you were in the past, what sanskaras you're carrying from the past, what trouble you must have had in the past. So you don't have to go into the past again and again and to see, because that is very troublesome to see. You should not be. People can go mentally ill. Some people have gone to regression and seeing the past lives and all. They've gone so deep, because this life only we're not managing, and all the other lives, if you keep looking at it, then what will happen? Huh? Remember last but till 5 years? Oh, you remembered your last but till 5 years, is it? Oh, see, some people are able to. They do it till 5 to 6 years. They will remember. Sister, there is a judgment day where your sins get paid off. That does it? Yeah. But it is not how it is described in the Garuda Purana, that they say that you will put in hot oil and burnt like chips or anything like that. So like that, it is not like that. It is not like that, because this particular world right now, which is the Kali Yuga, is itself itself is hell. The punishment is already going on here only. But the thing is, in the end, whatever remains, whatever sins are remaining, it will finish not with some sort of a bodily problems, not like that, but it will be more like an experience. And the regret and repentance itself is punishment. The soul goes through that in the end. Okay, so we'll remember Baba. No? We call God Baba. Baba means father. Om Shanti, meet you tomorrow at 7.